What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Good Game Podcast. This is episode 14 of the Good Game Podcast, and we have a lot to get into on today's episode. But before we get started, you already know what time it is. Hit that like button, and if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and subscribe to the channel. We want to increase our viewership. We want to get more people to join and watch every episode of the Good Game Podcast. So if you haven't already, take care of that for me. We do appreciate it over here at the Good Game Podcast. So, with that being said, without further delay, let's go ahead and get into it. So, we're going to start off this episode of the Good Game Podcast with some NFL news. And if you guys have been paying attention in the NFL, there have been a lot of good games that just took place this past weekend. But right now, we're going to cover one in particular, the Buffalo Bills and the Los Angeles Rams. And this is a game that will go down in history as probably one of the greatest games Josh Allen ever had, scoring 6 touchdowns, nonetheless falling short to a Los Angeles Rams team who was able to inch out the victory in a very, very close game. Josh Allen's day was full of setting records. With 6 touchdowns, he now has 252 passing and rushing touchdowns in his career, matching Patrick Mahomes with 107 games for fewest games to reach 250. It was his 5th career game with multiple passing and multiple rushing touchdowns, breaking a tie with Steve Young for the most in NFL history. In the moments after the Bills' 44-42 loss to the Rams, Josh Allen took on part of the blame, including what went wrong on a quarterback sneak that resulted in McDermott using a timeout that could have given the Bills another opportunity to win the game on the final offensive drive. Allen scored on the same play, one down later. "I just try to run the call as best as I can," Allen said. "I've got to find a way to get in." Allen, however, was behind a second half effort that saw the Bills come back from a 17-point fourth quarter deficit to get the game within 2 points. He became the second player in NFL history to record 3 passing touchdowns and 3 rushing touchdowns in any game. The last person to do that was Otto Graham in 1954. His 51.88 fantasy points were the most by any quarterback in a game since 1950 per ESPN research. And guys, when you have a quarterback who's putting up these type of numbers and you have to go back to the 1950s to find somebody who's comparable, that just speaks volumes to the play and the ability of Josh Allen and this Buffalo Bills team. Allen finished the game completing 22 of 37 passes for 342 yards while carrying the ball 10 times for 82 yards. His 4 second-half touchdown only aided his MVP candidacy, with his odds rising as he kept the Bills in the game. According to ESPN Bet, he entered the game as a minus 240 favorite to win the award for the first time, and as of Sunday night sits at minus 450, which is pretty crazy. I mean, I can understand the movement of the odds considering his play, but to go from minus 240 to minus 450 after one game, that's a pretty significant jump, to be honest with you. The effort wasn't enough to extend the Bills' winning streak to 8 games. The loss came in large part to miscues on defense, allowing the most points of any Allen start in his career, and special teams, including a blocked punt return for a touchdown, and confoundingly having only 9 players on the field for a punt on the final play of the game. which is absolutely insane. That's something that cannot happen in an NFL game. It's one thing to have 10 players on the field, even if you have 12 players on the field. But to have 9 players on the field, that's an entire misjudgment of personnel. And we need to, not we as in the fans, but I believe the organization needs to look at their coaching staff and kind of figure out what's going on, because these type of mistakes can't happen. That's something you see more in like a high school football game or even like a Division II college game, but not at the NFL level. That's really unacceptable. Not only did the Bills offense score on all but 3 drives, the team scored touchdowns on each one of them, while still being without 2 key offensive players in wide receiver Keon Coleman and tight end Dalton Kincaid. The loss ended the streak of the Bills winning 15 straight regular season games in December and January, only proving more difficult with tough challenge ahead against the Detroit Lions next week, all while trying to stay in contention for the number 1 seed, now 2 games back of the Kansas City Chiefs, who just so happened to secure their number 1 spot in the AFC West division with their win last night. We got to come out with some urgency, though I don't think in any phase of the game did we do that today, Allen said. We talked about it as a team and tried to figure out playing in a playoff atmosphere if a team that's playing like they're in the playoffs right now, and just trying to learn from this and move on. And I think that's the right attitude for Josh Allen to have. This in the NFL, it's so hard to control outcomes of the game. And, when you're playing a team like the LA Rams, this is a team that's been to the Super Bowl recently. They have a championship caliber quarterback, championship caliber coaches. So they know what to do in almost every situation of the football game. And Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills absolutely balled out. There's not too much more you can say about them. They played basically a flawless game. It wasn't like they had too many mistakes here or there. Penalties were low, things like that. Very disciplined offensively, defensively, and special teams. It's just, the NFL, the highest level of competition, anything can happen. And I think we'll see a lot more of these close games going forward, especially as we get closer to the playoffs. But congratulations to Josh Allen for a historical game. Definitely one that was fun to watch. Incredible performance. And I don't think he's done. I think he'll have more performances like this coming up in the future. And who knows? He may have a game where he messes around and scores 7 touchdowns or more in a game. I don't think that's out of the realm of possibility considering what we've seen from Josh Allen so far. So very, very entertaining game to watch. Looking forward to more games from the Buffalo Bills, LA Rams, and a whole bunch of other NFL teams coming up soon. As the playoffs come right around the corner, it'll be interesting to see how teams finish the season. And if they finish the season strong, there's still a lot of division spaces open, a lot of wild card spots open. So it could be a very, very interesting playoff season for the NFL. So with that being said, let's move on to our next topic of the day. So we got some MLB news to talk about. Somebody just signed a huge deal in Major League Baseball, and it's only right that we break it down for you guys on the Good Game podcast. The New York Mets have landed Juan Soto on a 15-year, $765 million deal. I'm going to say that one more time for the people in the back. The New York Mets have just landed Juan Soto on a 15-year, $765 million deal. Superstar outfitter Juan Soto and the New York Mets are in agreement on a 15-year, $765 million contract, sources told ESPN on Sunday night. The largest deal in professional sports history. The deal includes an opt-out after 5 years and no deferred money, sources said. If Soto opts out, the Mets can avoid it by increasing his annual salary in the final 10 seasons by $4 million from $51 million to $55 million, taking the total value to $805 million. And it's incredible looking at these numbers. You guys have to realize that this makes Juan Soto one of the highest paid athletes of all time. The contract also includes a $75 million signing bonus, sources said. The 26-year-old Soto, whose power, discerning eye, and postseason bona fides created a free agent frenzy among some of the game's blue blood teams, joining a Mets squad that made a surprising run to the National League Championship Series last season and is now poised to contend for years to come. Following a standout season with the New York Yankees, in which he guided the team to the World Series and finished third in American League MVP voting, Soto's presence in the free agent market drew significant interest, while the Mets, Yankees, Toronto Blue Jays, Boston Red Sox, and Los Angeles Dodgers were among the final bidders. Teams across the financial spectrum, including the lower payroll Kansas City Royals and Tampa Bay Rays, explored signing Soto. The Yankees fielded a competitive offer, a 16-year, $760 million deal with an annual average value of $47.5 million and no deferrals. Ultimately, Soto decided on the Mets, and in my honest opinion, I cannot blame him, considering the New York Mets performance. Maybe he felt there was something going on within that team he didn't want to be a part of. And that's on him. He's perfectly within his rights to do so. But I just have to say, going from the New York Yankees to the New York Mets is absolutely diabolical. That is crazy work. I think that's going to be heartbreaking for all Yankees fans. You had the guy, you couldn't keep him. Now he's down the street playing for the hometown rival. So that's something y'all got to deal with. And y'all just lost in the World Series to the Los Angeles Dodgers, who have gotten better themselves. So we're looking at the New York Yankees like, wow, y'all lost twice, basically. In 7 major league seasons, the 6'2", 220-pound Soto has hit an average of .285, .421, .532, with 201 home runs and 592 RBIs, and has accumulated more than 36 wins above replacement. Despite below average corner outfield defense, Soto distinguished himself with the best command of the strike zone since Barry Bonds, allowing him to hunt and punish pitches over the plate. And I think it's a well-known fact for people who are familiar with Juan Soto and his game. Although he may not be the best outfielder, he may not have the best fielding ability, he's pretty decent. He's above average. And the fact that he's only 26, he's young, he's athletic, he can make up for a lot of the mistakes that he makes defensively with his offense. He is historically one of the best hitters in baseball history already. And the fact that the New York Mets have signed him to such a deal, keep in mind that the New York Mets is a squad that had just went to the playoffs, had a pretty decent run, ultimately fell short. But the team is loaded. I mean, I definitely look at this New York Mets roster, and they have a lot of interesting pieces on that team. I'm looking at Juan Soto joining the team, as well as you have people who are already in place. You have Francisco Lindor, who's an MVP caliber shortstop. You have people like your Jeff McNeils, and if they do re-sign Pete Alonso, I think this lineup is a top 5 lineup in the league, just based on what we've seen already. The $765 million guarantee exceeds the $700 million the Dodgers gave two-way star Shohei Ohtani on a 10-year deal last winter. While 97% of Ohtani's salary will be deferred for 10 years, Soto's deal contains no deferred money, lifting the net present value of his deal well above Ohtani's. The contract, agreed upon after a month-long sprint that included face-to-face meetings, 3 rounds of bidding, and agent Scott Boras leaving Soto's talent to drive the price to stratospheric levels. Further validated Soto's decision in 2022 to turn down a 15-year, $440 million offer from the Washington Nationals, who had signed him as a 16-year-old out of the Dominican Republic and watched him blossom into one of the best players in the major leagues. Soon after Soto rejected the Nationals' overtures, they traded him to the San Diego Padres, starting a whirlwind 2.5-year stretch that saw Soto moved twice. He had arrived in Washington at 19 years old, a touted prospect who rocketed through the national system and debuted earlier than expected because of injuries to outfielders on the major league roster. In the first at-bat of his first start on May 21st, 2018, Soto crushed a first-pitch fastball 422 feet to the opposite field. Over the next 6 seasons, he would hit more than half his home runs to center field and left field, a rare ability that epitomized his gifts at the plate. In a game where the imbalance between pitching and hitting places offenses at a premium, Soto illustrated year after year why so many evaluators referred his skill set. During his first full season in 2019, he hit 3 home runs in the World Series to lead the Nationals to an upset win over the Houston Astros. In the shortened 2020 season, Soto hit .351, .490, and .695 with 13 home runs in 47 games, and would likely have won the National League MVP award had a positive COVID-19 test and later an elbow injury not caused him to miss about a quarter of the season. Soto thrived in 2021, walking in 145 times, the only person this century to reach that threshold outside of Barry Bonds. Washington's attempt to keep him in the nation's capital included multiple extension offers, all of which Soto turned down, leading to one of the biggest trades in baseball history at the 2022 deadline. Soto and first baseman Josh Bell to the Padres for outfielder James Woods, left-hander Mackenzie Gore, shortstop C.J. Abrams, outfielder Robert Hassell III, and right-hander Jarlin Susana. In San Diego, Soto shook off a mediocre, by his standards, final 2 months to rebound with a career-high 35 home runs and a National League leading 132 walks in 2023. With free agency a year away and San Diego's attempts to extend Soto rebuffed, though the Padres dealt him and center fielder Trent Grisham to the Yankees at the 2023 winter meetings for right-handers Michael King, Drew Thorpe, Randy Vasquez, and Johnny Brito, and catcher Kyle Higashioka. With the Yankees, Soto found the best version of himself. Batting second in front of Aaron Judge, he hit .288, .419, and .569 with 41 home runs, 109 RBIs, an American League leading 128 runs, and 8 wins over replacement. During the postseason, he was even better, slashing .427, .469, and .633 with 4 home runs, 9 RBIs, 12 runs, and 14 games. His extra innings home runs in Game 5 of the AL Championship Series sent New York to its 41st World Series. The timing couldn't have been better. The 2 most sought-after free agents this century have been Alex Rodriguez, a 25-year-old shortstop whose $252 million contract in 2000 doubled the previous high, and Shohei Ohtani, a boundary-breaking phenomenon whose skills and marketability helped him exceed the previous standard by a sum larger than Rodriguez's entire deal. Prior to Soto's contract, the longest deal in baseball history was Fernando Tatis Jr.'s 14-year pact with San Diego. The prospect of locking in the remainder of Soto's prime, not to mention any milestones he could pass on the way to the Hall of Fame, appealed strongly enough that the teams in the bidding were willing to match the 15 years he received. If any resume warrants that sort of commitment, it's Soto's. He is already a 4-time All-Star, 4-time Silver Slugger, batting champion, home run derby champion, and World Series champion. His 421 career on-base percentage is tops in baseball since he debuted. His 532 slugging percentage is 7th. His 953 OPS and his 158 WRC plus are 4th. Soto's 769 career walks are the most for a player through his age 25 season, 99 more than second place Mickey Mantle. The sustained excellence allows Soto to thrive in the arbitration system, in which he made $54 million over the past 2 seasons. Add that to his new $765 million deal, and Soto reaped $379 million more than he would have had he accepted the Nationals' final extension offer. Needless to say, that boy held out for a deal and he got the money he wanted and he got the highest deal possible. This goes to show you the power of turning down a deal and making them pay more, because ultimately that's what happened. You cannot base a century on players' value on other players, Boras said at the time. You have to base it on financial markets. The market spoke loudly on Sunday night, and they said the largest deal ever belongs to Juan Soto. So I definitely want to congratulate Juan Soto on this deal, man. This is a guy who, comes from the Dominican Republic. Very rough upbringing. Not a lot of opportunities for him, but somehow, some way, put himself in a position through hard work and dedication to reach the highest contract in MLB history, and probably all of sports, if we're being honest. I know at least in all of American sports. I can't speak on international sports like that. But congratulations to Juan Soto. Definitely going to be excited to watch you on the New York Mets. I think the Mets are definitely looking at this move as something that will get them to the World Series. At this point, is World Series a bust for the New York Mets? And I don't really know what direction the New York Yankees go from here. I mean, they just lost their guy, and they just lost in the World Series to the Dodgers. They got to make some moves. They got to do something to be competitive, because not only have the Los Angeles Dodgers gotten better with their recent signings of Blake Snell and whatever moves they continue to do to bolster that incredible team they've built, but now you got to worry about the New York Mets also, with Juan Soto, Frankie Lindor, a possible Pete Alonso coming back to the team, Jeff McNeil, a bunch of other players they have on their team that are coming up, a bunch of young players that are exciting to watch on that New York Mets team. So, yeah, man, definitely congratulations to Juan Soto, man. That's a lot of bread, my guy. That's a lot of money. They paying this man more than Shohei Ohtani, and he doesn't even pitch. It's crazy, but definitely well-deserved. It couldn't have come at a better time. I mean, this is something that's been in the works for a long time, and Juan Soto was able to hold out on a deal that most people probably would have taken those first initial couple deals. I mean, $500 million is not a small amount of money to turn down. But it just goes to show, if you are willing to hold out, if you know your value in the marketplace and you know what you bring to the table, hold out for that deal they give you at first, and you may just get a bigger bag down the road. So with that being said, let's go ahead and move on to our final topic of the day. All right, so final topic of the day. Before we get into it, I want to remind everyone listening, if you haven't already, hit that like button and hit that subscribe button. We are trying to grow our subscriber base here at the Good Game Podcast and the channel in general. So go ahead and hit that subscribe button. We do appreciate everyone who tunes into the show every week. And go ahead and check out some previous videos on the channel. Make sure to leave a comments, whatever you think about the subject matter. And with that being said, let's get into it. So, Mavericks Luka Doncic now 7th on triple-double list with 79 career triple-doubles. Luka Doncic's 79th career triple-double moved the Dallas Mavericks star past some impressive NBA talent. Doncic had 30 points, 13 rebounds, and 11 assists for his second straight triple-double, as the Mavericks extended their winning streak to 7 games with a 125-118 win over the Toronto Raptors on Saturday night. This triple-double moved Doncic past Wilt Chamberlain and James Harden on the NBA's all-time list and into sole possession of 7th place. Next in Doncic's sights, Mavericks coach Jason Kidd, who had 107 triple-doubles in his 19-year NBA career. "I guess I've got to sit him," Kidd said jokingly. Don't count on that. Doncic will go for his 3rd straight triple-double when the Mavericks face the Western Conference leading Oklahoma City Thunder in an NBA Cup game Tuesday night. Definitely will be tuning into this game with the Mavericks taking on the Thunder. Not only are the OKC Thunder an NBA leader, I believe they have a top 5 defense as well. It may have fallen off a little bit, but last time I checked, they had the number 1 defense in the NBA, and you complete that when you have a player like Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who is just balling incredible right now. Definitely should be looked at in that MVP conversation, especially since his team is winning, but probably won't get the consideration. It's a lot of competition in the NBA. But for me personally, Shai is somebody who should be in that top 5 as well as a Luka Doncic for the MVP conversation. Doncic had 15 points, 8 assists, and 6 rebounds by halftime against the Raptors. He banked home a 35-foot three-pointer at the second quarter buzzer that gave Dallas a 70-54 lead at the break, and earlier threw a no-look over-the-head assist to Kyrie Irving for a three-pointer in the first. Doncic reached his triple-double on a defensive rebound with 1 minute and 58 seconds left in the third quarter. He had 21 points, 10 assists, and 10 rebounds in Thursday's win at the Washington Wizards. "That's an incredible feat for Luka," Jason Kidd said of Doncic's move past Wilt Chamberlain and James Harden. He continued to say, "When you talk about his skill set, filling up the stat sheet, he's had 2 here, he can run them off. We've always expected him to have a triple-double, or we sometimes take him for granted for the triple-doubles. I think right now you can see that he's starting to get into a groove." Doncic further impressed his coach by throwing several long assists against Toronto, including some from under his own basket. "It's just incredible, the ability, the strength to be able to throw it that far," Kidd said. "He probably could have been a quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys." Oh man, I don't know if that's shots or not at the Dallas Cowboys, but nonetheless, it is a fact. I mean, Doncic definitely has an exceptional passing ability. I must admit, throwing a basketball is a lot different than throwing a football, especially when you consider you got pads on and things like that. But I definitely see what head coach Jason Kidd is saying in that regard. Luka Doncic has been on an incredible run. And I remember when he came in the league, he was just a special player then. And it's been incredible to watch his growth and his transition to becoming the guy in Dallas. And they just came off an incredible run last year. People may forget, but the Dallas Mavericks were right there in the finals last year. Ultimately fell short to the Boston Celtics with a loaded team who were just poised to win a championship that year, I believe. But I don't see any reason why the Dallas Mavericks can't be right back in the finals again this year, especially if Luka Doncic plays the way he continues to play. And you know, if the supporting cast of the Dallas Mavericks, you got certain people on the team that we definitely want to see step up, like a Kyrie Irving and others. I don't see any reason why the Dallas Mavericks can't be back in the finals. They have all the ingredients. They have a solid roster that's been there. They have a Hall of Fame potential player as a coach. I'm not sure Jason Kidd will be in the Hall of Fame as a coach just yet, but he definitely earned his spot as a player. So definitely want to give a congratulations to Luka Doncic. Keep doing what you're doing. And when this thing is all said and done, man, we may see Luka in top 5 triple-doubles all time NBA. I don't see why that's not possible. So with that being said, shout out to Luka Doncic. We're going to be watching a few Dallas Mavericks games coming up this week, along with some other teams Let me know in the comments what you guys think about this episode of the Good Game Podcast. Do you like the takes? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Hit that bell notification so you don't miss any new episodes of the Good Game Podcast coming out every week. And with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and get up on out of here. I love y'all. Everybody be safe. Take care. Until next time. Peace.